Now we're coming to the end of the episode, and it's always, as we said, it's a great time of year, being footy finals in September. The weather's getting nicer, the days are getting longer, and speaking of longer, we're adding an extra name to the McAvaney-Warren Sporting Hall of Fame, our pride and joy.
Yeah.
And as we said last week, this whole month will be acknowledging the greats of AFL finals football.
Yeah, because September's the stage where any, legends of the VFL and the AFL have got it done, not only out on the field, but up in the booth as well.
Yeah, with the headsets on and the mics popping. And, last week we inducted the great Mike Williamson, OAM, into the Sporting Hall of Fame with his incredible calling of some of the greatest moments in football and finals football.
Yeah, a man who really got the footy broadcasting game rolling in this country.
Yeah, he went from all the way from the 66 grand final all the way through and did some amazing things. And speaking of amazing things, this week we're inducting my personal favourite commentator of all time, and that's genuine, honest fact. You may know him through just being around on Channel 7 for nearly 50 years and doing some incredible sports broadcasting. Mr. Sandy Roberts is the newest inductee to the Sporting Hall of Fame, the McAvaney-Warren What's Good in Sport Sporting Hall of Fame.
An absolute legend of Australian media.
Yeah.
Because, his reach goes beyond just commentating the footy being kicked around. He's called everything. He's hosted everything.
Yep.
He's broadcasted everything. In a way that only he can, such a professional, polished way that he's gone about his work.
Yep.
And, again, become synonymous with a whole era of footy. Like we said with Mike Williamson, he was the guy for the 60s and the 70s. But, 80s, 90s, 2000s, Sandy Roberts is another voice that just comes straight to mind when you think of some of the great moments in that period of footy.
And I think it's too, he commentated VFA as well in the 80s, and then did the VFL in the late 80s, and for me he's the synonym. Bruce McAvaney and Dennis, obviously the stalwarts of the 90s commentary team for Channel 7, but Sandy Roberts and Drew Morfitt and Ian Robertson, they're the guys that there's some of the greatest things to happen in 90s football. Those three commentated.
Well, Sandy and Bruce were a dynamic duo as well, like during that period of time.
Because they were doing Winter Olympics together, Summer Olympics together, and horse racing. And that's the thing too. Sandy he's commentated and called and hosted all those events. He's even done NBL in the early days, and even hosted 4 Bathurst coverages in the 90s, including the Super Touring one.
I did not know that.
There you go. I've taught you something about motorsport.
I did not know that, but again, it just speaks volumes of how good and versatile he was at hosting, any sporting broadcast. Obviously did the news reporting stuff as well.
Yeah, his last sports report on Channel 7 was in 2013, and then he moved across to Fox Footy and rounded out his incredible commentary career at Fox Footy. And that's the thing too, he's done some amazing... well, let's get into it. We'll go into his great calls, because he really has been there for... obviously some incredible sporting moments, but for some reason the quirkiness always found Sandy Roberts.
Yeah.
For instance, that fateful day in 1993 with Dennis Cometti by his side up at the SCG, where there was a pig at full forward.
Oh, there's a pig on the ground. There is a pig at full forward. He won't catch him. Well, I wonder how far we've got to go back to see when time on was allowed for a pig on the ground.
Yes, iconic moment with the plugger pig.
Yep.
And it's the kind of thing that you see the footage and you can hear Sandy saying, "There's a pig at full forward," just making light of this just bizarre situation that we'll never see again at the footy, and you probably hadn't seen before that. And he was the one on the day in the booth, and it just makes those kind of moments memorable.
Yeah, and
and to be able to go with those moments when they happen, like you're there to call the footy, and who's got the ball and who's kicking the goals and who's racking up the stats, and all of a sudden you're like, there's a pig on the ground.
Yeah.
And to be able to broadcast that and paint a picture of what's going on, it's it was pretty cool stuff.
And Sandy also grew up on a farm, so he was trying to figure out what type of pig it was. The full call is hilarious.
It's pretty good.
It's so great. And then, you fast forward 6 years, and obviously back in those days, it was telecast would start, and they would pretty much go straight. There would be a 2-minute pre-game, and they go straight to the game.
Yeah, you didn't have the too long preview that you
wouldn't
get
have
nowadays.
the hour and a half preview, and they go straight into it. But in 1999, in a game a Friday night game between Carlton and Richmond, Sandy was the one that announced to all of Australia that the scoreboard was on fire.
That's it.
For those of you who may have just joined us, at 7:35 approximately tonight, this is what happened to the scoreboard here at the MCG. An electrical fault caused it to go up in flames. 7:34. Sorry, Robbo, we're going to be absolutely correct. And by 7:35, it was really a lot. Don't worry about that.
So he's been around for those really quirky kind of things, and then you rewind back a little bit to the late 80s, and there's this great call. It was a VFL game late 80s with Carlton. I can't remember the other team to this moment, but it was a holding the ball call. It was holding the ball, and he goes, "If that's not holding the ball, I'll walk to Christmas Island."
Yeah.
And I'll put the clip in. It's so great.
Forward line, Hunter can't pick it up on the half volley. Follows it forward. Now he needs support, and he's caught. And if that's not holding the ball, I'll walk to Christmas Island. Oh dear.
Just injecting a bit of fizz into the commentary, a bit of humour. But when he got down to business and he was calling the play-by-play stuff, he was just so professional.
Yep.
Obviously, not a former player,
No.
so he's just
A broadcaster.
Yeah, just a broadcaster, but just didn't miss anything, kept up with the game, called it so accurately, and again, very unique voice, which always works well.
Yeah, he doesn't have that deep voice, or it's just a very well polished, well-rounded voice, and as I said, he's called one of my favourite moments in grand final history in 1993, the Michael Long, where he's received the ball off half-back and he just carves through the field and calls that jab. And then, Silvani's stretching his hardest to try and touch the ball on the goal line. And the man who called that entire play was Sandy Roberts. And that's, called it perfectly to a T. He was excited. Michael Long's bounced the ball 5 or 6 times, and the man who rode every bump, every bounce, every twist and turn was Sandy Roberts.
Fletcher to bring it back into play. Goes straight down the middle. Lovely kick, almost to the centre of the ground. Williams waits at the back, but it's to his opposite number, Denham. In the middle. Now Michael Long. Look at this boy go. Away goes Michael Long. 50 metres out. Still going. 30 metres out. Oh, what play! It may have been touched on the line. No! One of the plays of the year.
Yeah, it's that clip is almost textbook on how to call a passage of play. Just told it as it was happening. As we've spoken a couple of times, these commentators, the great ones, have got this ability to rise and fall with what's going on, and then when it reaches that moment where it's super exciting, they go from being analytical to just being a fan and generating that excitement. And the whole way through that passage of play where Longy kicks that brilliant goal, it's awesome. And
then you fast forward almost 20 years, and in 2014, over 20 years, so 2014, and probably one of the last years he was commentating on Fox Footy. He commented, it was a Sunday Arvo game, and he commentated, it was a game at Etihad Stadium, and Matt White, Port Adelaide player, went on a very similar run to the goal. Who was there to call it? Sandy Roberts.
Gets it out to Corns. They've got to get going. Boat does it beautifully. Now they're starting to run. And away goes White.
No support.
Tucks it under his arm. Have another bounce. And he does. Morris gives chase. He just puts the foot on the accelerator. He draws away. What a magnificent run. Can he cap it off with a goal? Yes, he can. One of the goals of the year.
It just shows that the greats don't lose their touch.
Yeah.
You look at the board there. The names on there so far, they're all like older blokes, and they called all the way through till their older age, but they still have that enthusiasm of a 20-something calling their first game of footy or watching their first first race or first game of cricket or whatever. The passion never leaves them, and they've just got that ability to call the whole way through.
Yeah, and unfortunately in recent years, earlier this year he was diagnosed with a very rare type of blood cancer, and is now campaigning find a cure and, you know, get research into that and just doing what he does as the legend that he is. But, you know, go back and watch some of his, like, some of the 90s footy and the 80s footy and even, you know, the sportscast. He was on World of Sport with Ted Whitten for, like, 7-8 years.
Yeah.
Like, they were on that for so long, and he was, you know, showed his funny side with that and his serious side and his journalism. And there's that very famous they got the races with the former Miss Australia. So,
Yeah.
like, it's just like one of the great sports broadcasters and one of the 100% my favourite football commentator of all time. And that's why Sandy Roberts is the most deserving person to go in the McAvaney-Warren Sporting Hall of Fame.
Most definitely. Well said. Well put. It's his whole career has left a big legacy to Australian footy media and sports media, and I think you'd be surprised or be hard pressed to find someone who's given as much to the game. Now, speaking of giving things to people,
yes,
you've dropped a couple of hints in the last couple of weeks. It's actually kept my diary in check that it was your birthday.
Yes,
coming up, and it has happened since our last episode, and I kept forgetting. I'm not going to lie. But I've scoured the earth and I've been able to find a gift for you. It's only something small.
Okay.
But I think it's, deserving to present it to you on the show.
Okay.
Because it's topical, it's relevant.
Yes.
So, happy birthday.
Thank you.
My brother.
Branded. Thank you, my friend. Attention, Owen. What is this? It is... What? That's the best thing I've seen in my entire life. That is sensational.
Yes.
So
it works too.
Oh my god! So if you can't see, and for the audio listeners, Ken has gotten me the CD single version of Eric Banner's "Out of Bounds." Now there's a backstory to this, linked to Sandy Roberts by the way,
chance,
by pure coincidence. So. There was a football special, and I think it was 2003 or 2004.
Early 2000s.
On Channel 7, it was called Screaming Shockers and Sausage Rolls. Not Biff's Bumps and Brawlers with Rex Hunt.
Nope.
This was the better version. And we've taped our TV, and it's at Mum and Dad's house somewhere.
It'll be somewhere.
It's not online.
No, I've got to get a VCR encoder so I can actually rip the footage.
This special is not online. You can't find it anywhere.
I don't even think it was on DVD because I know Biff's Bumps was, but not... But Screamy Shockers.
Out of Bounds by Eric Banner it was full frontal. It was a skit he did on that. Part of his kind of his comedy
Eric
days.
Banner, obviously Australian comedy, Australian acting royalty.
Yeah,
great guy too. I met him at one of my old jobs, and absolute ripping bloke. But in his early days when he was doing all the comedy sketches on Channel 7, he did a comedy sketch and a song and a video clip that went with it called Out of Bounds, and it's basically Eric Banner, Eric Banner, Eric Banner, Eric Banner, and Eric Banner
featuring Eric Banner
doing a send-up of a heap of different iconic commentators from the 90s Channel 7 footy broadcasting. And on this footy segment tape that Owen's talking about, which was hosted by Tim Watson and Sandy Roberts.
Yes.
They play this on the outro, and in our honest opinion, it's probably the best piece of Australian sporting media ever.
And you know what? To round it out, and I've decided on the fly, you're going to get all 3 minutes of it round out this episode of What's Good in Sport. Probably a highlight of my life right now. This is incredible. So, if you are watching sport this weekend,
just make sure you don't go out of bounds.
Unreal.
Centimetre perfect. Out of bounds. Sensational. Out of bounds. Big nice dipper. Yeah, we're in. Out of bounds. Oh, fantastic stuff here. Welcome to all our listeners right across the nation. It's your old mate Rex here, thank you very much, to give you summarisation. The kiddies there, Shane Healy, along with Dates and Dipper. Thanks, Rex. We'll even cross around the grounds. This day should be a ripper. We've even got Darryl Eastlake coming live from the SCG. Dennis Committee from the Wacker. How exciting that should be. Centimetre perfect. I know sometimes I get carried away and make those funny sounds. Look, It's only a game. Occasionally we all go out of bounds.
Gotta need a perfect kick to Machiro, who runs down 45, like a cork in the ocean, over his shoulder for a goal.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Oh! Come on, guys.
Like a cork in the ocean.
Hey, g'day, it's Dipper here. I'm calling from the boundary line. I try and talk to the cages, but they give me the one finger sign.
Oh, I know how you feel, Tipper. It's Daryl Eastlake here.
Oh, this guy's fantastic, sensational! Come on! Oh, it's Kipper! Willie Kipper! Come on! Way to come back here to your feature, this is sensational! Thank you very much, thank you very much. Out of bounds! Oh! Out of bounds! Come on, guys! Out of bounds!
Like a cork in the ocean.
You idiot. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. You idiot. Dick tricks. Dick tricks.
Thank you very much.
Dick tricks. Dick tricks. Dick tricks. Come on, with the ball now, we tackle. Softly by Johnny Hassel. Come on, with the ball now. A kick by Hassel to the centre of the ground where it's marked by Paul Williams. Williams kicks in over Buckley. Buckley takes a bounce. With the 50, kicks in Buckley.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Out of bounds. Oh! Out of bounds. Come on, guys. Out of bounds.
Like a cork in the ocean.